Shuba 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 rumban, shubaru shubarumban, shuba 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 rumban, shubarubaru.
Hi everyone, my name is LusBeyri and today I'm going to be talking about living in different countries. So if you haven't seen one of my previous vlogs, shameless vlog, in which I talk about going to university, then you probably don't know that I am from Venezuela. I was born there and I lived there until I was 11 years old. Then my parents, my brothers and I moved to Florida in the United States, and there I went to middle school and high school, and basically after that I went back to my country with my mom, back to Venezuela, and then we came here to Mexico. I want to talk today about that, about my experience living in different countries and what it's like, what it felt like. The first thing that was hardest for me when I arrived to the United States was learning the language. In Venezuela we speak Spanish, and when I arrived to the United States I basically only knew like the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 like just the numbers and basic stuff, so I couldn't express myself in the way that I did in Spanish, and it was very hard at the beginning. I remember especially classes, of course, especially classes, because you have to understand, you have to be able to not only read and write language, but also you have to be able to analyze it in order to do exercises, to do a test, and it's very complicated when you don't manage a language. I mean, that was very difficult. I mean, I believe the teachers were very, very, very considerate, and I am really grateful for that. Not only the teachers, also the students were helpful. I remember because I live in Florida and there were a lot of different people in the school, in middle school, and especially Hispanic, and they will help me communicate with the teachers. I felt very lost. I mean, I like to talk a lot and I feel like I couldn't express myself at the beginning, especially trying just to say basic things and trying to connect the dots. There was a class, especially a moment that I remember, an experience, a memory that I made that was very embarrassing. It was a science class and the professor was very nice and she was trying to include me, to make me feel included in the class, but the topic of that class the specific memory that I have is that the topic of that class was sexual education, and I felt, oh my goodness, I don't want to have a spotlight in a moment. And suddenly she was talking, about the reproductive organs, the female body, the male body, and then she turns towards me and she tells me and asks me in front of everyone, do you understand? And I was like, everyone looking at me, everyone turns around and looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, I understand. Even though I wasn't able to have that level of English to analyze what she was telling me, I feel like I don't want to be here right now. I don't want anyone to look at me while you're speaking about the female body and the male body. Remember, I was only 11 years old and I feel like I don't want to. Thank you, yes, keep on going with your lesson, but please don't ask me anything. Even though right now I look back at it and I feel like it's a fun experience, at that moment I was very, very embarrassed. Although I must say that even though it was hard to understand the language, then they will help me with a dictionary. Sometimes during the test I could have my Spanish and English dictionary, to translate, and that was very useful. Also, at the beginning, there was a student, a classmate. I was introduced to him when I arrived at my middle school, and he was showing me around everywhere, because we share the same schedule, so he would take me to the classes with him and I wouldn't have to worry about getting lost. I know this may seem a little silly to anyone who is accustomed to living in a big city and having a big school, but I came from a very small town, a very small place in Venezuela, in the mountains. I remember my classroom, we were 16 students, I don't know, and my brother, his class was only 2 students, him and another classmate. So just going to the United States and having to be in a classroom where there are 40 students and the buildings were really big and you have to move from one class to another, they're not in the same area, and I was like, what? When I was little, you take class in the same classroom. That I remember from living in different countries, having to adjust not only to the language but also the cultural change. That is something I must highlight. It's different, the culture, the traditions, but I think that's really cool. when you are able to move to another country and to live and learn from the culture and take into account the things that you see, then that is really good. I must say that I felt like it was a much easier transition when I moved to Mexico, but I don't think it was only because of the language, but because of the fact that I had learned that it was good to accept the culture, to have different traditions. And also when you are already older, I was like 18 years old when I came here to Mexico. So when you're older and you're able to digest things better and to understand things better, then it's going to be very much easier for you, for anyone to make this change, this transition of living in another country. I feel like that's something that I must admit I wasn't good at when I was in the United States. At the beginning I was like in shock, like everything was so different, and if you have a shocking experience and you're unable to adapt, then it's going to be harder. So when I came here to Mexico, I had already gone through the change of living in the United States, going back to my country, and I came here. So I already experienced this. I was more, how can you say, adapted? I felt more adapted to moving around, and I started to understand that immersing yourself in the culture, in the traditions, is something that is going to help you and is going to be able to allow you to see things in a different way and also enjoy them. Like here in Mexico, there's a very fun celebration that is not really popular in Venezuela, at least not when I was a child, which is Dia de Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And basically, Day of the Dead is a celebration of the people that have already passed away, and it's really cool. I love it. You put an altar with food and chocolate and little skulls of sugar and whatever food or drink that your family or friend who has already passed away enjoy when he or she was alive. I really enjoy the fact that this holiday celebrates the dead, because it's like a way to see that the ones that pass away never leave us. Their spirit actually remains with us. And that holiday, I didn't know it before. When you are able to adapt and to see the positive in a culture and the customs, even though there may be some things that you actually don't see eye to eye, give your own perspective, but learn from others' perspectives, then that is going to make it so much easier. Another thing I want to talk about is the climate. I lived in the mountains, as I mentioned before, and it was very cold. I remember when I had to wear my skirt, my uniform, my school uniform, I was like, oh, freezing. And then when I arrived to Florida, it was so hot. It was like totally different. I mean, of course, in Venezuela, there was also hot times, but when I used to live in Táchira, in the state that I live in, and the mountains were very, very usually cold weather. And then going to the United States and hot weather, it was a total different change. I remember my face getting all burned. And now coming to Mexico City, and where I live right now, and it's a different climate. I believe Mexico City is in between, like not so hot like the beach and not so cold like the mountains, but sometimes there are different changes and unpredictable changes throughout the day. Like you wake up early and it's really cold, and then you will go out during the afternoon and feel that it's really hot, and then at night it gets cold again. And that is a little bit bad when it comes to choosing your wardrobe. You wonder, should I take my sweater? Should I not take it? Most of the time I just take it. Even if it's hot, I'm gonna bring my sweater because maybe later it's gonna get colder. When it comes to daily weather, you can change from one second to the other, and that's the thing that I live here in Mexico City. But I have adapted. I think I have adapted with a good sweater and my umbrella, very tiny umbrella in my back. Then I'm all good. Anyway, if you don't like a certain type of weather, maybe you should take that into consideration when choosing to move to another country. I mean, sometimes we don't choose, like me. Sometimes we just go with the flow, and our family and things. Like when I moved to the United States, I was only 11 years old, so you cannot choose all the time, and you just have to adapt to. But if you are able to choose, if you are old enough to make your own decision of moving to another country, maybe for a job that you get, or maybe to study abroad, then maybe you should also take into consideration if you feel like okay with really hot weather or cold weather. Sometimes we just don't mind. Like for me, I don't think I really mind. I mean, stuff like that. So if you are able to adapt to a climate, you don't have to worry so much. You only, of course, have to take care of your body, because if you're not adapted and you go from living in the beach and moving to the really cold mountains, don't go out without a sweater because you're gonna get a cold. So also you have to allow your body to adapt to a different place. Remember, is to take care of yourself. That brings me to another topic: feeling out of place. No matter how much you are like ready for the climate or ready for the culture, and try to prepare yourself. Sometimes you're going to feel out of place, and it's going to be normal. I wish I had said that to myself many years ago, and still I have to say it to myself, because sometimes we forget about that and we're too hard on ourselves, or we push ourselves, and we don't understand that it's normal sometimes to feel out of place. It's okay to say I don't like this, or maybe I'm not getting adapted to this as fast as somebody else, or getting adapted to the school like my other classmate. We cannot compare ourselves to anyone, even though it's hard sometimes, because we want to I want to do my best, and I wish I could learn as fast as someone else, or read as fast. The truth is that we are all different individuals. We all have different personalities, different skills, different talents, and I think we should also allow ourselves to feel out of place. If we feel out of place, then go with that, walk with that feeling, allow yourself to have that feeling, because I believe it's part of life, and we have to little by little take steps that help us enjoy everything, even the things that don't feel enjoyable. We have to be able to see that it's okay to feel sad. I mean, that it's okay to feel out of place when you move, when you have a change, especially if you move to another country. It's going to be life-changing, so it's okay to not understand things. It's okay to not be able to handle every situation. Now, one thing that happens plenty of times when I meet people and start talking to them is that they ask me, which country do you like the most? I'm like, oh my goodness, that question. I'm like, I can't answer that question. I mean, no with an answer that you are waiting, because I actually love them all. In different ways, I actually feel like Venezuela, United States, and Mexico have been my home. And although I do admit that I adapted quicker to Mexico than to the United States, I feel that was something because of the journey that I already had gone through. Every place had wonderful things that I could enjoy, and things that also were not so wonderful, and that also taught me lessons. And if I wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. And that's just such an amazing journey that whenever someone asks me which country I love the most, I really tell them all of them, because I love them all. And my country, Venezuela, my homeland, that was the place where I was born, where I had my childhood, then the United States, my teenage years, and then here Mexico. Those experiences have been different and similar in certain ways, and I'm just so grateful for them. So I cannot really choose a place, even though I feel like some things have been easier and others not, but I feel like all of them had taught me something. So, how about you? Have you lived in different countries? Do you want to live in different countries? Don't forget to leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel for more. I make vlogs, covers, random videos. Have to vlog more. And also you can check out in the description box the links to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all of that stuff if you want to go there and check it out. Thank you again for passing and stopping by here. Don't forget to smile and dance to the beat of your heart. Choo-choo, choo-choo.
Shuba 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 rumban, shuba rumban, shuba 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 rumban, shuba